So now let's create the repository. So for that, let's create the repository class in the repository package, repository dot book repository. Okay, and let's open that book side by side. So this will require annotation of repository. So this repository annotation is specifically for the repository. It acts similar to the service and also as the component. Let's have the dependency of DynamoDB mapper, because this is the place where we are actually going to hit the DynamoDB table for all our operations, like add a book, get a book by ID, and also get all the list of books. Okay, so let's take the dependency of DynamoDB mapper. So auto wire private DynamoDB mapper, let's call it as mapper. And the first method that we are going to implement is the save method that will save our book into the DynamoDB. Okay, so public void save book, and it will take a argument book. So, and it provide a very simple interface to upload a book into the DynamoDB, or basically to add a book into DynamoDB. So that is mapper.save. It's quite simple, mapper.save just book. It will take that book and store it into our DynamoDB table. Okay, so now let's create a function for fetching that book by using book ID. Okay, book ID is the hash key, so let's use that. So public book get book by book ID and final string book ID. And so it will what it will do is it will provide the mapper also provides a simple method to fetch a book. So for that, the method name is load. Okay, and this will take an argument, the Pojo class. Okay, that it has that it is going to return. So it is going to return a book class. Okay, and now the hash key. So hash key is book ID. Okay, I will create a separate dedicated video about this DynamoDB database, where we'll see almost all the features of DynamoDB that is present or provided by AWS as of now. So this will return a book object, an instance of book. So as you can see, like this book, and let's return it. Okay, so return that book. You can merge line number 19 and 20 into one. So now let's create a method to update a record into DynamoDB. So public void update book. So it will take an argument book which have all the updated value, and the thing is DynamoDB itself manages the update thing. So the save method and update method act as the same thing. So basically, if you make a save request in DynamoDB, if a record is not there, then it will create a new record. But if you again make a save record with the same ID, save request with the same ID, then it will update the fields which has updated value. Else it will create a new one. Okay, and if all the fields are same, then it will reject. So basically, the update book is going to use the same save book. Okay, so save book, and now let's have a delete method, public void delete book by book ID. So final So let's create a new book with only the book ID. So book, and let's set the book dot set book ID as book ID, and mapper dot delete book. To delete a record, the mapper only requires the hash key, the primary key of the table, primary key of the record, but in this same instance object. Okay. And now we also need the list of all books. To facilitate that functionality, as you can see that in the index page, you need all the books. To have all these books, you need to make a scan operation in the DynamoDB. So let's create a scan operation. So public list of book, get all book. Let's name it get all books. Okay. So there is a simple method called mapper.scan. Okay, mapper.scan. So it will scan the DynamoDB, okay, and get you all the records from the DynamoDB table. Okay, so for that it will again take the book class name, also new DynamoDB scan operation. Okay. So during the scan, what you can do is you can also provide some filtration property, like filter the book whose price is only more than 10. Okay. So in that case, it will filter out all the books who has price less than 10, something like that. So since in our case, I'm not gonna use any of the filter. So this is the default one. It will use no filter. Okay. So, and this will return list of book. Okay, let's call it book list, and simply return book list. So now that we are done with the repository, so now let's go and create our controller class. Let's call it controller dot book controller, and let's have the annotation as REST controller. Okay, so now let's go and create the get mapping. So get mapping values, let's call it books. Okay, so it will return you the list of all books. So public list of books, get all books. Okay, so it will get all the books by using the repository class. Okay, so let's create a repository object in this. So for that, I will be using the auto-wired. Okay, because since I'm using the REST controller, I can take that object created by the Spring and use it by using dependency injection. So private book repository, and let's call it book repository. So it will simply go and fetch get all books and just do what? Return. Now let's create now to get details of book by book, you need get book. Okay, get book functionality. So get mapping, and for value, this will get detail of each individual book by using the book ID value. Okay, so public book get book by ID, and this value, the book ID is present in the path. So basically the path, the URL, so it will be a path variable. So let's fetch that path variable, and let's call it as book ID, and it will be a string book ID, and return book repository dot get book by ID book ID. Okay, And now we need what we need now we need a put operation to not put, post, to create a new book. Okay, so let's create a post operation first. Post mapping and values, um, books, public void save book. And in post mapping, the payload is present as the request body, so we need to fetch the book details from the request body. Okay, so there is an annotation that Spring Boot provides and does all this boilerplate thing on their own. So simply use request body and just name it as book, and it will simply extract the book from the request body and give it as an argument to this function. So we have the book, and we'll simply use the book repository dot save book. And now to update, so to update a book, it will be a post request. Okay, so now let's create a post mapping as well. Not post, sorry, it will be a put mapping. So put mapping, and it will also have the values of books and public void, let's say update book. The name doesn't matter. So here also you will get the book from the request body, so I have to write the same thing, request body book and book repository dot update book. So now we have get, post, put, and now we need a delete. Okay, to make our all the CRUD operations. So delete mapping. So delete request will take will delete book by a book ID. Okay, we're not going to delete all the book at one go. So we'll take a book ID and we'll delete only that book ID. So let's create the endpoint as book slash book ID, and let's name that function is public void delete book, and take the book ID from the path variable. It will also be a string book ID, and return book repository dot delete book by ID, and simply give it the book ID. Okay, so I believe that we are done with all the operations from this controller and the service. So now let's go and create a DynamoDB table. Okay, so here I already have a DynamoDB table, okay, in which it has some records. Okay, so I will run the program, and let's first get details from here, and after that I will delete this table and create the new table like again. So let's run this program and let's see that if everything is working fine or not. So as you can see, the application is up and running, and the process ID is 832 and the port is 8080. So now let's go and check all these details from our Chrome website. Okay, not Chrome website, Chrome web browser. So localhost 8080, and what I have done is books as our endpoint. So let's take, you can see we get all the books. Okay, let's make it I would say side by side, because I'm not going to make any changes in the application now. Okay, so let's put here, and majority of the thing in this right side. Let's go this this and this. Okay, so let's create what we create. Let's delete everything. Okay, so let's delete. So to delete it, I will go and table details and make confirm. So I've deleted everything, so let it get deleted, and then I will create the same one. Let's copy the name book table, book info table. So it has deleted. So now let's create. So the name is book info table. Partition key, what I have selected is the partition key is book ID. As you can see, the partition key is book ID. So let's go and select the book ID, and the type was string. And let's go to our custom setting and make this table as on demand, because why to pay for extra money when it is on demand available. Let's go and create it. So it will take like around 10 to 15 seconds and the table will be created. And since our service is already up and running, so if we go and see, the response will be an empty. Okay, and yeah, as you can see, the service is as you can see, the table is created, and let's explore. There is no item in that, so that's why the response for this endpoint is empty. So let's go and create one dummy data in it. Okay, so let's go and create. So for book ID, let's say book ID is 100. Okay, and add another attribute, add new attribute, and new attribute name is book title. Book title is, oh, why it is number, it will be a string. Book title is Pushkar book, and another one, we call it book URL, book image URL, and let's say book image URL 123, and now a number which will be like book price. Book price will be, let's say, $100.5. Okay, so as you can see that we have now one book, one record in our table. So the response from this will be 1. Okay, got it. So now, and also if we make a get request to fetch a specific book, so the book ID is 100. So if I do 100 here, it will give me the only one book. So the basically instead of array, it will be a simple one object. You can see here. Okay, and we can also check all these from our application called Postman. So let me open the Postman. So I have opened the Postman, and let's create a collection, name it book service. Yes, and inside it, let's create a request called get all books, and it will be localhost books. We are getting one book, and let's have one post book. Okay, add a new book. Okay, so it will be a post request to localhost books, and let's copy this because the structure will be same. And in the body, let's go raw and select JSON, and now let's change it. So change it to 200. Now it's like Java, and Java book URL, and price is, let's say, $10. So now let's submit it. So as you can see, the status is 200. That means the book is already added. So now if I make this get all book, I will see 2 records here, and you can see 2 records here. And also now if I make a request for 100 here, and also if it is like 200 the book, and if I make request to all books, you can see in the both 2 books, and also in DynamoDB there will be now 2 records. Okay, so now you can see there are 2 records. Okay, yeah, this book image is wrong because we need an actual image of book so that it will be visible on our UI like this. Okay, so later on we're going to update this. Okay, so let's create I'm going to create one runner. Okay, an application runner, so that what it will do is it will basically add some 5-6 book in this table whenever the application runs. Okay, and if the books is already present, there will be no impact. That I am doing because I don't need to I don't want to go and write each books again and again, even if I delete the tables. Okay, so let's go and simply create one runner. Runner dot book ingestion runner. It will implement application dot runner interface, and let's make this as component so that we can use book repository dependency. So let's use that auto wired private book repository, and let's implement that interface method. So as you can see, now I have added like sample few records. So this runner, so how runner works is, so whenever the program runs, it will execute this run method. So basically whenever the program runs, it will run this function, and all these 4 records will be stored in our DynamoDB table. So as you can see right now, there is only 2 records, but if I go and rerun this application, then you will see these 4 will be auto updated in here, and that will be like one time, and after that whenever the application run, it will just go and update it. So as you can see, it has done. So let's go. So now you can see that we have 4 more, and now if we see here, we'll see around all the records, and also in the get you can see all here. Okay, so now let's also try one put. Okay, so let's say put localhost books, and let's pick this and update it. Okay, so body row JSON, let's name it as book title as Java new updated, URL is also updated. Okay, so now let's save it. So you can see the status is okay. So now it has updated. So if I go and reload this, then you will see that this must have different value. So you can see this have a different value, and also in our DynamoDB it has updated. So it is like the old name, but if I refresh it, you will see a new one. Okay, so now let's see, since these 4 are the correct image URL with like actual image, these 2 are temporary ones. So let's go and delete it because they are of no use right now. For now, just go delete and delete this. Okay, so now our backend service is ready, and it is running on port 8080. All the data are present in DynamoDB, and right now there are 4 records which are temporary, and we'll create more one now from our UI.